Hi, welcome to this part of my review featuring Fabula Ultima TTJRPG. If you haven't seen the other parts of my review, featuring this tabletop role-playing game that attempts to bring the Japanese video game RPG experience to your table, please check out the playlist in the description below. This time we are going to talk about the conflict scenes, specifically the structure. When the story gets to a climax, when the stakes are high, and when every split second can make a difference, a conflict scene happens. A conflict is a series of back and forth exchanges at a rapid pace. Now here I noticed that there is a lack of focus when it comes to the design of this game, because here it says, you have no doubt encountered something like this in movies and TV series. Time slows down and the camera zooms in on every single action. So why didn't the author use video games, the cutscenes or cinematic moments of video games as an example? I think there was a lack of focus here. Now, all of the following might make for good conflicts. A chase scene amidst the narrow city alleys, a skirmish between armed groups or a fight against a dangerous monster, a tense audience with a powerful figure, and these are just a few examples. Next we have information on how to use conflicts. As with any other scene, the game master is responsible for declaring the beginning and end of conflicts. The ability to properly time conflicts is something that can only be developed by playing the game. Draw inspiration from how video games, movies, and comics handle pacing. Consuming a variety of different media can really help keep things fresh. Again, I see this lack of focus. You are trying to play a video game situation or experience in a tabletop environment. So there is a constant reference to movies, series, comic books. I think this would explain why sometimes there is a certain lack of connection or focus between the different mechanical elements, because the focus itself concerning the video game experience is diluted by referencing movies, comic books, and other media. Now it says here, something you should never forget is that you are not bound to use conflict rules for every battle, chase, or debate. Instead, you should save them for truly dramatic situations. Checks and clocks will often be more than enough to resolve a scene, without the added complexity of conflict rules. In general, aim for about one conflict scene every 2 hours of play. I think this is reasonable if you want to speed up things. Then we have information on the structure of a conflict. There is a flowchart in this book illustrating the main events of a conflict scene. First, you determine which characters will actively take part in the conflict, be they player characters or non-player characters. Everyone else will be treated as an extra and mostly fade into the background. I think this is an incorrect way of handling things, or rather perhaps explaining things, because later on there is a contradiction. The game says that, at any time, a player character or non-player character could jump into the scene, could be introduced into the situation. So rather than saying that the characters fade into the background, I would say that they are potentially inactive. Now here we have another incorrect step of the process. Discuss the goals of each participant. Player characters should also declare which items they have equipped at the start of the conflict. How about instead of discussing, we roleplay? We play this role-playing game. You're not going to be like, oh, character A is going to try and retrieve the crown, or character B will try to assassinate this non-player character, or character C is going to try to get away. No, when it's your turn to act, then you describe what your character is going to do. And you're not going to be like, for this battle, I choose to use my knife. I also wish to use my gun. No, you're going to say, I unsheath my dagger and I pull out my gun. So that's roleplay. You do not need to handle this as a situation outside of the game. The next step. Player characters perform a Dexterity plus Insight Initiative group check to determine which side acts first. The difficulty level for this check equals the highest initiative among their adversaries. If the player characters succeed, the first participant to act each round will be someone from their side. If they fail, the first participant to act during each round will be one of their foes. The conflict is handled as a series of consecutive rounds. During each round, the player character's side and the enemy side alternate, taking turns, starting with one participant from the side who has the initiative. Each turn allows for a single action. You cannot choose to pass a turn. If one side outnumbers the other, keep alternating turns as long as possible, then let the side with the numerical advantage take the remaining turns towards the end of the round. Once all creatures have taken their actions, the round ends. If the conflict continues, a new round begins. You go back to step 5. And don't worry, we'll take a look at these steps individually in the next parts of the review. The Game Master may declare the end of the conflict scene whenever they deem it appropriate. This generally happens when one side achieves their goal or objective, when all sides except one are unable or unwilling to continue, or when the various factions find an acceptable compromise. And this concludes this part of the review. In the next part, we are going to take a look at determining participants, discussing goals, and initiative. So yes, I have several criticisms when it comes to the flow of this conflict structure. I will provide further insights on each of these steps. Thank you for watching this part of the review, and thank you for your likes and your comments. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. And thank you so much to those of you that are going the extra mile to support the channel. If anyone else wishes to further support the channel, the information on how to do that will be in the description below. Once again, thank you, and see you later.